Today's guest is Rebecca Rodenheffer. She's a survivor, a thriver, and a powerful voice for those healing from childhood trauma. Rebecca brings a rare blend of grounded wisdom and deep compassion to her work as an executive and life coach. She knows that healing isn't a quick fix, it's a lifelong journey. And she walks that path herself, gathering tools, insight, and practices that she now shares with others. Blending CliftonStrengths, somatic practices, and internal family systems into her coaching, she helps people reconnect with their value, their voice, and their inner wisdom. Rebecca draws on years of experience in performance, leadership, and talent development across both large financial institutions and smaller organizations. Her gift and passion are supporting trauma survivors, helping them embrace their strengths, honor their story, and step into a more empowered version of themselves. Rebecca believes that within every person is a still point, a grounded place that knows what truly matters. She creates safe, sacred spaces where people can slow down, listen inward, and move forward with clarity and courage. Hello, Rebecca. Thank you for being here with me today. Could you start by telling me a little bit about yourself?
Sure thing. Good to be here with you, Cameron. Yes, I am an executive and life coach. And CliftonStrengths is one of the tools I use in addition to somatics and internal family systems in my coaching practice. I've been a strengths coach for over 15 years.
All right. How did you get into the strengths coaching?
The company I worked for had hired Gallup they used it as an engagement strategy for employees. And so Gallup came and trained more than a handful of people to help really make it part of our culture.
All right.
And so that was my first introduction. I didn't know Gallup. I only knew Gallup as the people who did polls when they're actually very well known in the study of human behavioral science, why people do what they do and what the impact is on the bottom line of an organization's profits, actually on their stock price. They've been able to narrow it down to the stock price. I really appreciate the work Gallup has done on that. Because a lot of it we all knew. We all know more engaged employees means that you're more profitable, you're doing better, but Gallup's actually been able to prove it. It was pretty neat.
That is interesting. So how do you take the actual strengths assessment?
Sure. Well, there are lots of ways. You can go online and to Gallup's, you look up CliftonStrengths, just Google it, and you can go online to take it, or you can purchase a book from Gallup. And by the way, I don't get any proceeds from this. But this is it's actually their 20th anniversary edition. It's hard to believe they've been doing this for 20 years and over 35 million people have taken the strengths assessment. Yeah, it's pretty incredible. The book is nice. It has a code in the back that then you could go online to take the assessment. What's nice about the book is it talks about working with people who have similar strengths or different strengths, and so it's a good resource. Most of the resources are available online on Gallup's website as well.
All right. So I am curious, now that you have explained what Gallup's is, and you seem to be very invested in strengths, what are your top strengths?
Yeah. So before I reveal, I'll just say, so what the assessment does is it allows you it identifies your natural gifts and strengths. And so you take 178 paired questions. Do you like this or this? Would you rather go to a party or sit home and read a book? That's not one of the questions, but just give you an idea of what it is.
All right.
And so my strengths are woo, communication, connectedness, positivity, and developer.
All right.
And those aren't the English dictionary definition of those words, which I think is somewhat confusing, because communication doesn't mean I like talking a lot necessarily. It's more refined. And they're themes, so it really depends on there are 34 strengths in all. And so it really depends upon the order of your strengths and how they show up. And actually, I wanted to ask you about when you took the assessment.
All right, so I did take the assessment, and I do not remember the order of all of them.
It's okay.
I know my top strength was empathy, and it was followed by, what was it? It was realtor, discipline, developer.
Relator.
discipline, developer, and what was the last one? I'm forgetting it at the moment.
That's okay.
But I had it somewhere.
Yeah.
But those were my top 5. And I know when I was taking it that the order in which you were given your strengths mattered. So when you said your strengths, was that your order that they came in? Alrighty. What is the significance of the order of them?
So you don't know. They don't give you. They don't know how, like, what's the differential, the statistically, like it could be a rating of 0.07 that kind of differentiates one, how high one is compared to the other. But it's again, your natural inclination is to lead with empathy. That's what was, I believe, what you had said, your number 1 strength. My natural inclination is will, which shows up for me as a love of people. I love learning about people. I love talking to people. I love just, finding out what makes them tick. Just as though empathy is social intelligence. And so you have a natural knack to understand, the kind of the fabric of empathy and how you could probably, people high in empathy, you can walk in a room and you can sense kind of if there's tension in the room. And then as you become more fine-tuned and skilled at it, then you can use that strength to break that tension.
I see. And when I took the test, I got empathy as my number 1, and I was like, yeah, I feel like that. I resonate with that. But then when I was looking at like the discipline and like developer and things like that, I was like, I don't know if like how I understand discipline is necessarily like true to me. But then once I read how Gallup explained them, it kind of started making a little more sense. So could you kind of speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, and that's actually a very natural reaction, is this really me? Yeah. And what is, or, oh no, it's not. So you get a pretty extensive report from Gallup when you do take, this is the full 34, but you can also just take the first 5.
So I know when I was reading through my results, the top 5 strengths they gave me didn't necessarily feel like they were true to what I would identify as my top strengths. But then reading into how Gallup defined discipline and developer and things like that, it started to make a little more sense. So could you kind of speak to how those definitions...
And your reaction is very normal to what other people's, reactions. Some people are, actually, once people read them, and understand that it's not necessarily Webster Dictionary's definition of the words, that it's Gallup's definition. And each strength shows up a little differently. There's actually a 1 in 33 million chance that you'll have the same top 5 strengths in the same order as anyone else. That's how unique you are. It's like a fingerprint. And that's why it's so important that we know what our strengths are and we use them, because the world needs them. But the reaction is, again, very typical of, I don't see this, or, and then once you start reading it and understand more of the behaviors, and that's really the next step in using your strengths, is first of all, understanding what the definition of it is. And then, and again, Gallup, their assessment that they provide you is customized to you. If you read the generic definition of what discipline is, or it would be very different than the definition of how yours shows up, especially since yours is closely tied to empathy, as you were saying.
Yes.
So it's really, it's fascinating. It's almost scary how accurate it is, really. I've heard people say, I gave the report or the assessment to one of my daughter's boyfriends at his request. I wasn't.
Always good, always good.
Right, always good to qualify. And his said, you probably don't really come alive until, 3 in the afternoon, and, just really some very specific things that, and it was so true for him.
Yeah.
And it's really, for me, my strengths are very different than my family's. And I'm a people person. I'm an influencer. I build relationships. I'm a collaborator. And my family was, there were scientists, engineers, and lawyers. And so I've always felt very different.
Yes.
I used to say I was the only normal one, but don't know that that's actually true. And so this, by taking the assessment, it really gives you a better idea of again, what your natural gifts and talents are.
Yeah. And so I understand that there are like 34 strengths that one could be given, but I know that they are divided into different domains.
They are.
How are those, like, what are those different domains, and how do they work with one another?
Yeah, great question. So there are 4 domains that are executing. So people who lead through the executing domain, they turn ideas into reality. They make things happen. They are good at follow through. They're ensure that work gets done when it needs to get done, with consistency and quality.
I imagine discipline would be in that domain then? All right.
Bingo.
All right.
That's exactly right. They're really the doers who provide structure, reliability, and you give someone with an executing strength something to do, like you don't have to worry about getting done.
It's always good.
Yeah, it really is, and they thrive on it.
Yeah.
I mean, they thrive on tasks that require discipline and focus, and that accountability piece. Like if it's not there, what you may want to explore too, so I'll give you some coaching as we
Perfect.
this, is when there isn't discipline in a situation, because sometimes we learn more about ourselves when there's no structure to things. That may be very unsettling for you.
Yes, I do not like when things are not structured.
Yeah, exactly. Okay,
Yes.
so there's your, yeah. It's how we build, it's how we build trust. It's how you can trust something. If it doesn't have structure, you're probably not going to trust it as much.
Yeah. Well, I also don't have control over it without the structure, which I feel like discipline kind of needs a little bit of control in there as well. Yeah.
It is. That's exactly right. And they're all, they're all strengths. And so the executing, you've got the one in the executing domain there. And then there's the influencing domain. And so people who have these, whose strengths fall in the influencing, they help people and teams be heard and organizations be heard. So they speak up, they take charge, and they really move others into action. And so they naturally motivate people, persuade people. They kind of amplify a team's message. And then they really shine when a group needs visibility and energy or forward motion.
All right. And what are the strengths in that category?
I don't know all of them off the top of my head, but communication is one of them. Maximizer would be another one. Command, significance.
All right.
So
don't think I have anyone in that category.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not, since you brought that up, I know we were going to talk a little bit about, you don't need to be in all the categories. You could just be in one category, and that's fine. I get asked that question a lot from people. So then there's the relationship building domain. And so people, this domain's all about connection. It's all about really these people with these strengths create cohesion, trust, and belonging in a team. And so they help transform a group of individuals working together to a team. You heard it's really the synergy of a team. Without anyone with relationship building strengths, you're just individuals working on a project.
Yeah.
You don't have the synergy. And so I use the example, 2 + 2 can equal 5 or 6 or 8. You can get so much more when you've really got that cohesion. And they really strengthen that bond in the team.
All right.
And kind of the emotional fabric of the team.
Yeah, which is crucial when working within any type of team, whether it be a work team, a social team, a community team.
That's exactly right. She who has empathy and the emotional strength. Yeah, but it is. It's key. If you don't have that, you'll never get where you want to go.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then lastly is the strategic thinking domain. And so the types of strengths that fall in there would be analytic, futuristic, strategic is a strength. But these are the big thinkers.
Yes.
Yeah, these are the people who can quickly see where we need to go and how we're going to get there. And what will work and what won't work. And I really appreciate people who have strategic strengths, because maximizer is one of my strengths lower down. And you really use your top 15 strengths on a daily basis. And so I want to be as effective and efficient. That's what Maximizer is as possible. So I'm just going to ask a strategic person, what do you think about this idea? Because they'll have some ideas about it. They're the analyzers. They analyze data. They see patterns, and they really help people make better decisions. They imagine what could be, they anticipate obstacles, and they chart a path forward.
All right.
So they can really help bring clarity, insight, and again, that future focus perspective. Now, as I mentioned, individuals don't have to be in any domain. You could be in one domain, and that would be fine. You could also be in 4 of them, and that's fine too. When people, I'll say that, and then when I'm coaching someone, after I do a team event, they'll come up and say, I'm only in 1. I only have 2 of them. Is that okay? And I always say, it's not, as Shakespeare said, nothing's right, good or bad. It's thinking that makes it so. So if you think it's a problem, it's going to be a problem. Yes. If you think it's okay, it'll be fine. And their research, again, Gallup's research shows, when they surveyed leaders of Fortune 500 companies and countries to determine what strengths they needed, they found there was no specific strength that a leader needed. What a leader needed was to know what their strengths were, what they were good in, and to surround themselves with people with different strengths. And so that's where the domains really, they helped me see a clearer picture of how a team should be working together. So you could have typically a team that isn't in all 4, or one stronger than another. Just as an example, high executing strengths, people could be getting a heck of a lot done, but maybe they're low in strategic strengths. Well, maybe they're not getting the right things done to get them where they need to go. Or maybe they're low in relationship building strengths and they're getting a lot done, but everybody's burnout.
Yeah.
And so that's just a couple of examples of how the domains work together.
So it's not necessarily about like having to have a wide spread of all these strengths in the categories, but more so like understanding the strengths that you're given and how to implement those into like practical use.
That's exactly right.
I see.
That's
all
exactly
right. That's
right.
very interesting.
Yeah, so woo, is a influencing strength, and again, it's my love of people. So I have a natural ability to be able to put people at ease and to create a warm and welcoming environment. So it would be wise for my team to use me, or to welcome people, to be the person who onboards new people to the organization, or to show people around, show them the ropes, those types of things.
So how does the Strengths differ from other assessments that are similar?
Yeah, there's so many assessments out there. Gallup's, these are you're born with these, your natural gifts. So, for example, DISC is typically a work behavior style. What is your style at work? It could change. You could have a different style at home. Your strengths are your strengths. They did a study of 25 3-year-olds. Gallup did this study and observed their behaviors and assigned them strengths, and then identified which strengths they had. 20 years later, gave them the assessment, and the strengths hadn't changed.
That's so interesting.
I know, isn't it?
Because that was going to be one of my questions, that if you took this test at different points in your life, like, would your strengths change?
Yeah. So when you asked about the order, typically what they find is the order may shift a little, but pretty much your strengths, unless you have a major life event. So I will speak to trauma survivors have a major life event. And so once they've done their healing, they may find that some of their strengths have shifted, because what happens when you experience trauma is and I'm speaking from personal experience here as a childhood sexual abuse survivor, I hid who I really was. I was under layers of I didn't consciously know that I did that. But I was whatever anyone else wanted me to be, because that was a protective measure that I put into place. And so once I did a lot of healing work, I found out, some of my strengths did shift.
Yeah. So I know that you just mentioned that like trauma can impact the developments of strengths, but how can one use their strengths to begin a healing process?
Yeah. And just to go back a little bit, just for a second on the development, So even though trauma will impact, like you may not know, I mean, to me, the value of strengths for a survivor is someone who's, or thriver, as I like to call us, is that it's not, when we say it impacts your development, it just impacts you knowing who you are, not really the development of that strength.
Yeah.
You can still develop it. So, but back to your question, can you repeat that again?
Oh, absolutely. So knowing that trauma could kind of shift strengths throughout one's experiences, how can someone use their strengths to then begin a healing process?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Great question. Yeah. And that goes back to not knowing who we are, really not valuing who we are, because power-based abuse, whether it's domestic violence, sexual abuse, human trafficking, control over us, again, it's a violation of who we are.
Absolutely.
And we don't feel safe being who we are. And so to me, how strengths really helped me was it helped me see the value that I brought and put words to it. My strengths lie in the influencing and the relationship building strengths. It gave me words to be able to tell people what I'm really good at. And because again, it wasn't, although I'm good at math, it's not, people, especially in today's world, knowledge is power. And my strengths are more energizing strengths. They're more about, the team building, getting people to work together. And so for a survivor, it can really be a starting point for healing and understanding what they are good at and who they really are.
Yeah.
And then additionally, I believe that we're given the strengths that we're given to help us heal. For example, my abuse involved men over several different periods in my life. The first one was my first memory, and it really groomed me for those other instances, which, I realized, should have a very big mistrust of people, men in particular. It's amazing I'm heterosexual, I mean, but I have I have this love of people, and that was something I needed. If I didn't have that, I probably would have a lot more hesitation to be around people, and communication being another strength. I believe you have to talk about it to stop it, heal it, and learn from it. And so that gift that I have helps me easily put into words what my experience has been and how to help others with the words that I have. Positivity, again, this happened throughout, really into my 20s. There was even an incident in my 40s where someone really crossed the line and abused me. And so I've lost my train of thought.
Oh, you're okay.
Yeah.
Do you want me to re-ask
go ahead.
question?
Yeah.
I believe we were still just kind of on the topic of understanding how strengths can help someone heal, and like recognizing those strengths and using that towards a healing journey.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah,
Thank you. And so I was talking a little bit about positivity.
Yeah.
And so really, it's kind of amazing that, I'm not in depression. I haven't suffered a lot more. And I think it's, because I was given positivity.
Yeah.
And I see the glass as half full. And lots of sucky things happen to me, and there are days that are a real struggle for me. But I get to, I fortunately can see that the glass is half full. And, so that answers a little bit about how we can use our strengths. Again, it helps. So let me leave it there. I'll let you out. I think you had another question.
Right. Well, thank you for sharing that. I know you kind of have explained that when you found your strengths, they kind of finally gave you words to describe, like, oh, wait, that is me. I can see myself in those words. Could there ever be maybe in a time where someone with trauma would take this, like, strengths quiz and then not see themselves reflected, and that kind of be daunting or intimidating in any way?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. I don't know that it would be, again, it's all positive.
Yeah.
So it's all going to, I think what typically happens, and I've had this as well, the woo, for example, it was a blind spot that I had. I didn't see it. And sometimes our gifts are, and communication even, I didn't see that communication was my strength. I really, because it's something that's so natural to us.
Yeah.
We don't see it that way. And so it can be daunting at first, and it can be hard to see. For a trauma survivor in particular, but not just trauma survivors. I've coached, hundreds of people, and we all have blind spots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there ever an instance where someone reclaiming their strengths would be scary at all?
Oh, I mean, reclaiming our life can be, as a trauma survivor, can be scary. So definitely, yes, because being authentically who we are is scary. I mean, for me, it's like the turtle coming out of the shell, that protective layer. And so it can be very scary being authentically who we are for any survivor. And really not just anyone, I think anyone, actually, not just survivors. I think that, it's the, vulnerable, really, to me, is a sign of it's about being boldly who you are. It's about being a leader. Yeah. It's about coming from your center core of who you are. And that's what I liked about CliftonStrengths. I wanted to be, I always wanted what someone else had. Yeah. Because it seemed better. I wanted to be who they were, or I was comparing. Why am I not like that? And so, as we heal, it's scary to own who we are. It's scary to come out of that shell, and it's also it's difficult to trust who we are. Yeah. And using our strengths is actually how we build trust.
Mm-hmm. And I know you said that everybody, these strengths apply to everybody, but for this question specifically for like survivors of abuse, could reclaiming these strengths help one set healthier boundaries or reclaim that area of their life in any way?
Definitely. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Boundaries are really, and I'll be fully transparent here. I can remember my therapist first started talking to me about boundaries. I was like, boundaries? I mean, what are you talking about? What's a boundary? I remember asked my, 18-year-old daughter what a boundary was. Mm-hmm. And, a boundary is really just what's okay with you and what's not okay with you. And so once you know what your natural gifts and strengths are, your strengths, then you can set a boundary around that. Like, let's say you have relator, for example, as one of your strengths. And so you like to work in small groups of people. Yes. Typically, 1 to 3 people, that's your comfort level. Mm-hmm. And so knowing that, then that can help you set a boundary when someone wants you to work on a project with 40 people. Yes. You may want to think about, well, how can I cut that down into smaller? How can I get some discipline, some discipline to 40
right. people would be way too much for
that's
me.
That's exactly right. As opposed to woo, I bring it on. I think I see that as a challenge to get to know those people, and that's okay. Your way isn't wrong or right, and neither is my way. It's just a different way of functioning, and so knowing who you are and what your strengths are helps you then be able to set boundaries that work for you. Because typically, as a survivor, we're always doing what someone else wants us to do. Yeah. You want to do that? Okay. What do you want to do? I want to do that. That sounds like I don't know what I want to do because I haven't, maybe I haven't really explored it, or I haven't, or you mentioned the intellectual strength. Maybe those people with intellectual strength, as well as deliberative is another strength, need more time to think about things. Mm-hmm. And so there's another boundary that could be set, is to say, hey, you know what? That's a great idea. I'd like to think about that a little more. Yeah. Yeah. Give me some, I'd like to just noodle on it overnight. So it gives you a framework and words that you can come up with your own little script of what you can do, and you just have those in your back pocket.
Yeah, I like that, and I could see how just understanding those strengths, and obviously from the more Gallup perspective and not the dictionary perspective, would definitely have one just feeling a little more secure in not only their person, but like in the work that they're doing every day. Because if you're working with your own boundaries, you're obviously going to feel more committed and dedicated to the work, and also safer while doing it.
That's exactly right, Cameron. And I appreciate you bringing that up, because it is, you do feel safer. You're more settled. You're more confident.
Yeah, absolutely.
I had a woman I worked with who, and this is one of the benefits of coaching, is of knowing your strengths and coaching. It takes the emotional waste out of situations as well. She was working with a team, someone on her team. She said, every time I come with an idea, they're asking, all these questions as though I don't know what I'm doing. That's how she felt. Like I feel as though they're attacking me. But when we looked at that person's strengths, they had analytical in their strengths. That's what analytical people do. They ask lots of questions. And so once she was able to see that it wasn't a personal attack, this is just how this person functioned. Yeah. I also had someone who used to think she was lazy. And because she'd never go out and just run one errand or go do, so she'd postpone it for a while until she had a couple. Well, then once she realized she had Maximizer, it made more sense. There's no, it was more efficient to go out when she had multiple things to do. So as a survivor, I think it can really, anyone, it can help alter your perspective of who you are. And you can reframe things that you do that maybe you've been beating yourself up about. Yeah.
Which then kind of helps you build trust with not only other people, but within yourself too. You know that if you know those strengths and you know your boundaries and you know how to set them, then you have more control than you once did.
That's exactly right. Building trust as a survivor is one of the hardest things to do. And self-trust, I found, is the hardest.
Yeah.
And so knowing, just as you said, once you know what your gifts are, what your talents are, you can set a boundary around that. I'll use you as an example, if you don't mind, your relator strengths, not doing large group things. And so what could happen is because you want to, you like this group and you want to be part of the group, you'll go ahead and do something, and then you feel uncomfortable, and then you don't feel, you're kicking yourself for going, and that kind of, if it repeatedly happens, that can impact how you trust yourself. Yeah. Can you trust yourself to make that decision?
And now thinking about it, I don't think I have and not that it matters that I don't have one in everything, but I don't think I have one in the influencing, which makes sense that I don't want that big crowd, because I want the smaller, more controlled of my own environment.
Intimate group. That's exactly right. I had a woman who had relator and strategic, and she had to do networking events. And I mean, a large room of people was just overwhelming for her. So she would strategically divide the room into quadrants, and she'd pick one quadrant, and then she'd decide, find someone she knew or wanted to know, and then she'd just go talk to that person.
That's so smart.
Yeah. So and that's the way, once you know what your gifts are, you can use them to really energize you. Yeah. As opposed to, because that's one of the reasons why this is so valuable. It's positive. It's energizing, and it's like a snowball effect once you start using it. And it's so easy. It's a superpower. Once now that she knows how to work a room, that it doesn't have to be so overwhelming. It's easy to do.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to take that division thing with me. That sounds like that could work.
Oh, definitely. I
like that.
Yeah.
So how would one take their strengths work and integrate that into, if they're doing therapy or any other kind of healing work with another person?
Yeah. Well, I think it's helpful to share your strengths with your therapist. And so again, what it can help do is help target the boundaries that you're going to set when talking about healing strategies. How does that align with your strengths? Again, this is all about making sure you're aligned to who you are and what you need. So the therapy piece comes into play now that I know that, positivity, maybe I'm interacting with someone who's really negative.
Yeah.
Well, that's gonna be very draining for me. And so I need to develop a strategy or again, maybe it's a boundary I need to set. I'm sorry you're feeling so down and out. I need to step away and go, really kind of re-energize myself. Or that's probably not the most effective way to say that, but set a boundary that you can leave the situation. So it's really about setting boundaries and building the trust. I think that's where it can help in therapy, getting to know yourself a little better. Because that's the real challenge is you can read this, but if you just put it aside, it's not going to do anything for you. But once you it's about becoming aware of your strengths.
How would you build upon that work with, I guess, for example, if you're doing just therapy with a therapist, how would you, if you struggle with, for your example you use, dividing a big room into a smaller room because that's what makes me feel more comfortable, how do you start that? How do you take the first step to have the confidence to get there?
That's a great question. That's a lot of work, right?
Yeah. I mean, it seems like it'd be a lot of work.
You know what? I'd say you start with doing something you feel comfortable doing and have success using your strength in an area with a smaller group of people.
Yeah.
And so you really want to start in an area where you feel most comfortable and then identify, again, what that situation is, what boundary will be important to you to set in that. And make it easy. Make it, an easy situation so that when you have it's a snowball effect. Once you have a little success,
it keeps building.
It keeps building. Yeah.
All right.
So to talk a little bit more about how you build a strength. So a strength is really a talent. It's a naturally recurring pattern of thought or behavior. Okay. And just like a muscle, it's not going to do you any good if you don't work on it. You don't build it up. You don't practice. And so what you need to do is learn knowledge about this strength, such as your empathy strength, knowledge about social interactions and how they work, or my communication strength. I use the example of when right out of my first job, I joined a Toastmasters group, and what they do is they help you practice your communication skills. Right. And so I got knowledge around it, and then you want to also have skill, and you get skill by practicing it. And so similar to what you were talking about, walking into the room. So with my communication strength, I learned the functions of what makes a good speech, they work on impromptu speech and then giving feedback. And so I learned the components of what makes each one of those good. And then every meeting where I spoke, I got to practice those. And that's what really turns it into a superpower. And again, once you realize what it is, it's so easy. It's that, we talked about that person, the empathy, walking into a room that you can sense tension. Yeah. Empathy is one of those energetic strengths as well. People just feel that. You could just say, gosh, it feels like there's a lot of tension in this room. And it's just that statement alone, it's just amazing the power of something like that, as opposed to just ignoring it or being afraid to, see what happens. But, it's that type of practice and skill that really helps you develop and move to the next level. Yeah. Yeah. And it's, for a survivor, we need all the tools we can get. And, again, for me, I didn't know, I couldn't put words to what I was really, at least those words that brought value. Yeah. And so because again, my strengths are pretty amorphous as well. It's about collaborating. I know I can get people to, I can influence them typically. I know what to say that would help land well with people that could help influence them. And so it gives us a language. It gives us a common language. And when it's also the lens through which we see the world. So your lens, your empathy, discipline, relator, my lens is very different.
Yeah.
And so it's helpful to understand that. We don't see, I grew up, my father always said, treat people the way you would want to be treated. Well, really it's the platinum rule, treat people the way they want to be treated. Now that I know that, I'll be more likely to connect empathetically, with you.
Yeah.
I'll make sure we're not in large groups, or, again, we go out of our way. It builds greater rapport with people. Now, is it an excuse not to do anything? Like, empathy is not in my top 5. Does that mean I shouldn't empathize with people? No, it's not an excuse not to do it. But Gallup studies show that if your life satisfaction's here, or your productivity, that if you want to improve and you put energy into what you're not, your weakness, because that's what society usually has us do in work, like work on what you're not good at.
Yeah.
You'll improve, but you're not going to improve a whole heck of a lot. You'll only improve a little. But if you use that same amount of energy on what you're good at, you actually get exponential improvement. At least this is what Gallup's research has shown in life satisfaction and productivity.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but I could use all the energy I could get.
I agree, but I think that makes sense that, yeah, it'd be harder to succeed at something that you're already, like, that's not one of your tops. But if you work at something that you already are good at and that is beneficial to you, then you're obviously going to take that way farther.
Yeah.
So I think that is a good, focus to the top 5. And like you said, the top 5 isn't an exhausted list. Like, you not having empathy in your top 5 doesn't mean you're not an empathetic person, but it just means that maybe focusing on empathy won't be as helpful to you as focusing on that, maximalist idea.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, it's, I think it's a good reminder that actually something that everyone here has probably forgotten, which is, we are each amazing and we're very unique. And CliftonStrengths really helps you find that. It helps you name it, claim it, trust it, and helps you be the best version of who you are.
Yeah. So thank you, Rebecca, for being here and sharing your gifts with us today. Rebecca is also going to be the host of Take Back the Night, which is going to be held on Hood's College campus on April 23rd this year, starting at 6 p.m. Join us in highlighting survivor stories and a night of community, empowerment, and healing.
Yeah, I hope you all can join us.
Yeah.
It'll be a fun night.
I believe so. And if you are also interested in a coaching from Rebecca, you can go to myrrcoach.com and get a coaching.
Thank you.
Yeah, no
Appreciate
problem.
the opportunity.